Good morning and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Suzanne and today I'm showing you how to set up a new breeder bin. So here I have one of my big black totes. Now the only thing this doesn't have in it at the moment is air holes, but my son's going to sort that out. It's just one of my newer bins. So for those of you that have been here on a regular basis, what you'll know is that I have this small breeder bin that I started last year with 20 red wigglers because I wanted to up the amount of red wigglers that I have in my tower to compete with the other breeds that I have in there. And so this has been working perfectly well. And when I've gone in to feed them today, what I've noticed is that they've produced quite a large amount of cocoons, but also there were quite a large amount of youngsters in here as well, which means that they're ready to be separated out and go into the grow out bin. So I started doing that and I thought, you know what though, the problem with having such a small bin is that worms breed to their capacity, and so if you get too many worms in a small space, they'll stop breeding. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to give them more space, and so I've prepared some bedding for them. And if you haven't seen how I do pre-composted bedding, I'll link it at the end along with the vermicompost playlist, where you can see all of these videos for the setup of this breeding bin and for the pre-composting and how I run my worm tower. So I started just taking out the wisps and the cocoons, and then I thought, oh hang on, I'll show you some of these cocoons. So all those little balls you can see there, they're the cocoons, and you can see they're all different colours. So the lighter ones, they're the newer ones, and those darker ones, they're the ones that are preparing to hatch out. And there can be more than one wisp or wormlet that comes out of those eggs. So you see, these worms really do need more room. So the bin for those, the grow out bin, is just over here. So I'm going to pop those over there so that they don't dry out. That's all set up for them. So in this side, as you can see, I've got all the bedding ready for them. But in here, you can see this is the environment that my worms have already been in. This is all worm castings, and it's had food in it and everything else. You could harvest that if you wanted to, but there are going to be little wisps and other cocoons and everything in there, and I don't want to be pedantic and have to try and sift all that out. And so what I am going to do is I'm just going to dump all this in here at this end so that my worms have got the environment that they've set up, because breeding worms prefer a more moist environment for breeding in. Now, if you're setting up a breeding bin right from new, then normally when you squeeze their bedding, can you hear that? You can hear how much water is in there. You'd normally want to be able to squeeze out a few drops. Well, when the worms start breeding, they'll make it more moist. They'll sort it out themselves. In one of my previous videos where I'm changing over to my summer setup, I show you how my different breeds of worms split. And so my European night crawlers go into the sump, and my red wigglers come into a top summer tray that I have that's empty for them. And they make their own environments, and the European night crawlers like it quite a bit more moist than actually the red wigglers. And you can see that in how crumbly these actually are. And that's why I'm leaving this for them to sort it out themselves. So this is just a quick video to show you what I'm doing. This tote, I can't remember how big these are, but again, I've got videos that'll tell you that, and I'll leave a link down below in the description for where I got these from, because they're really good. They're very heavy duty, so I will leave that. Now for anybody that's wondering, those of you that are here on a regular basis, especially Mark, Mad Hatter, I put Jerry, the escapee worm, in that breeding bin. So if you're wondering if he stayed there, No, the answer is no, he didn't. I actually found him in my pre-composting bin. Let me look. He's actually there he is. Because he's huge. So there you go. That is Jerry. He wasn't in here at all. I had to go searching for him. So he's the big escapee worm. He was not where he was supposed to be. So we'll try again and we'll put him in here. So there we go. This is all the worms that I pulled out. Now bear in mind, I started with 20 adults. So there are juveniles in here. But I'm going to leave these juveniles because there's a lot more space. Ordinarily, I'd take them out and put them in the tower. But there's a lot of room in here for them all to breed. So they can all go in there. And those juveniles are not far off breeding age. They'll all be able to go in there. Now, the other thing I'm not going to do right now, I normally feed kitchen scraps and everything to my worms, but I'm actually not going to do that. Today, all I'm going to do is, I'm just going to feed them some of my homemade worm chow. I'm actually going to have to go back in the house and get them some eggshell. I grind that up for them, but I've forgotten to bring it through. I had to fill up my little jar. And the reason that I'm not going to feed them the kitchen scraps today is because I want to come back and check on them in a few days and make sure they're all right, and that's when I'm going to do that. So I just want them to have just a sprinkling of food. I'm going to put that on the surface for them. Oh, I just spotted another cocoon. See, you don't get everything out, but that can go in the grow out bin and that'll be fine. And then we'll cover that up, cover the worms up, and they will be happy in there. And what I'll do is when I come back in here, I'll do this off camera, I'll sprinkle the eggshell on top because worms have a gizzard, so they do need that to help them grind up their food. And they also, it helps keep the pH levels right in the bin as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you find this useful. My son will also, he'll drill outwards to put some air holes in this, same as what my other bins have for these. When I started making this, I'd forgotten that this didn't actually have any air holes around it, but because I'm going to be leaving the lid off this, it doesn't matter too much. I want the worms to get comfortable and stay down there, and eventually I will put the lid on. The one thing that I am going to do in the meantime, because this, oh, I've got a bin on top of it, I have some big bubble wrap that I place on top of this, and so these will be fine. So thank you for watching. I hope you like this. Subscribe and share, and go watch that playlist. Bye for now.